listening to the Insight NBL Show with your hosts, Matrix and Hammer.
Guys, this is about the schedule and massaging it around those perfect captain options. And this is the time to talk about it. Everybody's on a double next week. We've just had everybody on a double this week, and we're not going to be thinking about it. You can just play your best guys, but let's forward plan to make sure you've got the right guys going forward. And honestly, I think focusing on guard, because the way that Supercoach is, you don't lose points for missing a shot. You get more points for assists than rebounds. It's perfected for guards, isn't it, man?
Absolutely. No worries about efficiency at all. And the guards this year have been elite. They have really come through for us. Look, I think Kendrick Davis is set and forget for the next 2 weeks. He has doubles in round 17, like everyone else. 18, he has the double. After that, for me, it gets interesting. But look, he's had 105 this week across the double. No one else has come close to that yet.
No, he's been the best. I think he had 120 another week earlier as well. Fading Kendrick Davis ended in disaster. Look, Kendrick Davis absolutely should be a primo guard through round 17 and 18. Playing him on a single, though, it's a lot of cash tied up, even for a 60 when there's so many other guys with upside. And the next one I probably want to talk about, because Kendrick Davis is so easy to talk about, is Sobey. Derek Walton Jr. went down. That hammy injury looked bad, non-contact, the same hammy he's hurt before down there at Traralgon. He's got doubles on 17 and 19. Pair that with some of these other guys, and Sobey's pretty good value at $370K for a guy that just dropped a 50 Supercoach piece.
Yeah, he had the 54, was elite. Without Derek Walton Jr., he has opportunity. We know that opportunity is all he needs sometimes to come with those big scores. He's got the doubles in rounds 17 and 19, so we'll pair nicely for that KD coverage once he finishes his double runs for the season. Could you see yourself captaining Sobey in round 19?
Yeah, I
Keep
could.
it in mind, also on the double in round 19 is Doyle and Cotton.
That's the thing. Like, if you're saving money, then Sobey is 100K cheaper than Cotton. But at the moment, Doyle is also 100K cheaper than Sobey. So yeah, I would captain him over Doyle, because I think Sobey's ceiling is 100. I think Doyle's ceiling's about 80, but I think Cotton's ceiling's about 120. So I think the price reflects each of them, and it depends what I do with that extra 100K, to be honest. But Cotton is, of course, the primo captain option when it comes to the schedule in round 19.
Okay, round 17 this week, everyone's on the double. Cotton versus KD. You own both, you own one or the other. Who would you slap the C on?
Bringing it up, I would still captain KD, to be honest. Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I would just still captain KD. It's good matchups, I think. Perth, they play up and down. KD just dropped a heap of points against Perth, but also Cotton scored a lot of points against 36ers last time. Cairns are, let's be honest, they're dog shit. And they've got to play Melbourne in there. I think that KD, I think you're trying to outthink the room with the KD thing if you're not captaining him next week.
Yeah. Look, if you don't captain KD, I think Cotton's your only other option this week in round 17. Unless you are really throwing out that Hail Mary with a pod, someone like a Sobey, look, maybe it is the time to go for that prayer and see if you can climb up the rankings, and you might jag it. But Cotton is in elite form. KD's in elite form. We saw Cotton have, he would have gone for 70 if he didn't sit out the whole fourth quarter in that absolute bath down in Tasmania. But KD, Adelaide is still in the hunt. You know, Perth is still in the hunt. Well, they're more than in the hunt. They're sitting in third at the moment. So these games matter for these teams. Southeast Melbourne, the games matter. So all these players are motivated. They're going to play bulk minutes. No one's getting rested. It's tough. But for me, it's KD. I'm not going to go and try and outthink the room, like you say.
No, me neither. It's more about looking forward to round 19 with my guys here. I think round 17, round 18, KD's on a double. I'm captaining him. I am going to let everybody trying to pod captain and jump me lose out when it comes to KD. I have that much faith in Kendrick Davis at the moment.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better just to hold and hope someone else gets desperate. There is a time for a pod. I don't know if this is it. Look, talking of pods, PJC returns after suspension. There's some interesting movement in New Zealand right now. So, look, prior to tonight's game, I haven't factored this in, but our main man Pleb has all the stats. He's an absolute wealth of knowledge. Hit him up on Twitter if you need to get your numbers right. But without PJC over the last few weeks, Mooney has been averaging 41.7 Supercoach points. Elite. With PJC, 23.6, almost half. What happens here? Is PJC return to the elite player that we could slap the C on every week? Or is Mooney now the guy? Is PJC, like you've reported earlier in the pods, ready to get on the next plane home?
Yeah, I think he's ready to get on the next plane home, which is not where I want to captain. He doesn't seem to find Taco Fall. Obviously, he handles the ball a lot more and doesn't pass it to Mooney as much, even when Mooney's cooking. A lot of Mooney shots were out of necessity just by there being nobody else there. I do expect Mooney to still average 30, but I can't see him averaging that 41.7 with PJC there when he shoots the ball like 17 times a game.
Yeah. Do you look at the reverse of this and think who is playing New Zealand and capitalize on the lack of chemistry, how dysfunctional that Breakers outfit's going to be? And do we think someone's going to pop off for a big game against the Breakers? Would that factor into your thinking?
Yeah, I think anyone playing New Zealand.
Yeah.
There's always a
Although
chance going on.
they took it to Melbourne United earlier tonight. I don't know how they lost that, apart from Bubbles being Bubbles.
Oh, mate, Bubbles. Can we captain Bubbles? Let's
Look. You say Captain Bubbles. He had, 54 Supercoach points? I think he had 52 actual points.
He's 42.
Or close to. He's one of those guys who really is almost allergic to any other column other than points on the box score.
Can I be honest?
Please.
If you are having a dart throw at a captain in the next cup, and we're going to do a captain show anyway, so this probably isn't the right platform. But if you wanted to have a dart throw, you could captain PJC in these next 2 weeks. That to me is better than pod captaining a Doyle or a Sobey or somebody like that.
No.
if you are ballsy as shit, if you were sitting there and wanted to make PJC has a better ceiling than a lot of these guys. You just mentioned, would you captain Doyle?
I would take Sobey in a heartbeat over PJC right now. I think he's checked out. You know, he's been with his little burner account apparently in, different people's DMs. He's got his sights firmly set on his next job, I reckon. I think he's done with the NBL after the way they treated him over that little, Mighty Mouse eruption he had down in Tassie with your boy Tarangi. I would not be surprised if he comes out and we see a shadow of his former self.
Mate, we do have to shout out our boys at the Standard Squeeze. The guys there have been doing great things with us all year. Get 15% off on us on their online store, thestandardsqueeze.com. Mate, I have found that you put these little bad boys full of whiskey in your freezer. Of course, we know alcohol doesn't freeze. And I've
Chemistry
actually
lessons
found
with Matrix.
the way that doesn't water everything down, like putting some ice in your whiskey. I'm preferring that. Like, I'm all about getting it done quicker. And let's not dilute it with ice. Let's just put this in the freezer, put this in the esky, put this. There's a smaller one than this that you can carry in your pocket. The guys at Suncorp Stadium definitely do not check. So, guys, get some gear in there from the standard squeeze. Mate, one guy we haven't mentioned, we have a couple of singles in there, and it's Trey Kell.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he has that ceiling with Harvey being there, with these guys being a better team. Coming off the loss tonight, but probably a captain option round 20 while we're here doing some forward thinking. Look, it could be a Froling, it could be something like that, but we're talking about perfect matchups really in guards here. And look, Kell's got to be in the equation come round 20.
Look, round 20, only Illawarra and Cairns on the double. Now, if there was ever a round to pod captain, this is probably it. This is your Hail Mary right before the finish line, throw up a prayer and hope something sticks. To me, Kell has a high floor, low ceiling. Look, we all remember the game last year when he was playing for Adelaide where he popped off for a triple-double. We haven't seen anything close to that this year. We were ready to get off rolling before tonight when he exploded for 35 and 13 and 60 Supercoach points. He's been up and down. There's nothing I love out of Cairns. That round 20 is your pod round for a captain, I reckon.
Is it pod? Because you've got to pick someone from Illawarra and Cairns. But there's a world where Taron Armstrong outscores Kell for the week.
There's a world where Rob Edwards pops off. There's a world where Tanner Groves decides that he wants a contract next year and decides to go full lumberjack on you.
I don't think Tanner Groves outscores Trey Kell.
Look, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. What I'm saying, though, is we could easily see a 31 and a 33 from Kell. Right? Gives you 64 for the round. Is that enough to get the number one captain?
That week, yeah. In round 20, yes.
Look, we're going super early on this. There's a lot to play out. But go your top three captains for round 20. I would probably, and this is going to sound really bad because I was about to cut him until 15 minutes ago, put Froling as number one. Playing a really weak defensive front court in Cairns. We know Cairns hemorrhage points to bigs.
Yep, okay, cool. I can get around Froling there. But can you hold Illawarra guys for 2 weeks on singles when you're trying to move your way up the ranks?
And that's tough. And this is where we talk about our perfect pairs or our terrific trios or what other alliteration we want to throw in there. Maybe you can if you've planned well enough. My only other concern with Illawarra, they are the consensus number one to finish top of the ladder. Is that going to be a dead rubber, that last round? Are we going to see some guys rested?
I don't see that happening in the NBL as much as I see in other sports, though. It's so important to put bums on seats. It's so important to create that cash generation. I think that they all play.
We've seen it before, though. Like, you think about it, Illawarra gets a couple of games clear with 2 games to go. Do you risk the injury knowing you've already locked up home finals? Do you play your starters, 20 minutes and then put the queue in the rack and put them on ice?
Yeah, they could.
Definitely something in the back of my mind with a game like that.
No, I'm with you, man. You've given me a lot to think about with our schedule, with our perfect captain options over the next couple of weeks. Look, I'm really struggling to find. Like, I wanted this to be about finding some talent in Cairns that we could have going forward, and I just can't find anything, to be honest, that I'm that interested in.
Yeah, it's more. They're better than what else is there, and it's only schedule related. Armstrong's been solid without being spectacular. Rob Edwards has been up and down like a horse draws. Look, we're going to have to monitor this closely because at some point you're going to have to bring them in.
Listen to an Insight Fantasy Sports podcast.